So I was really excited for this one. Osamu Dazai, No Longer Human. Of course, back in the day, I read the manga, I watched the anime, watched a couple of documentaries, but I really wanted to get my hands on this thing. And let me tell you, as a side note, this book edition right now I've seen, it is like triple the price of your normal average paperback, which is insane, right? But No Longer Human. Let's just say that it was a bit disappointing. I was expecting this existential nightmare, this greatest crisis of the soul, this disappointed fellow that simply loses his humanity because he sees that everything is pointless, that everything is a joke, which in part it is, but at the end of the day, this book, if you really look at it, it is an extremely, it has an extremely um, limited number of subjects that it addresses when it comes to defeatism, fatalism, cynicism, and so on. But what I really want to, the plot is whatever, the characters are whatever. The only one that stands out, of course, is the protagonist, Yozo, I think his name is, which of course is Dazai himself. But what I really want to talk about is Dazai himself, because obviously we're dealing with his mindset, with some of his experiences, etc., etc. And I can relate to him because the way he spoke about being a child and being so awkward, being so having this feeling of not belonging, of not fitting in, of not being like everybody else. Of course, I think most of us have felt that, but he, even as a young child, felt this way, and you can actually see in pictures of his family that he is a young kid and he is the only one that is smiling, and it's so peculiar, right? Because everybody else is so serious and stoic. Of course, so a lot of things that happen in this book happen to Dazai, right? And I was like that because I felt awkward and I felt that I didn't fit in with everybody else. I had this tendency to grin all the time and be this joker, and of course Dazai took it, to the height, to the extreme, right? Because at least if you make people laugh, they won't see you as an enemy, right? Of course. And this one scene really got to me, and this happened to Dazai, of course, that there were a lot of maids in his family estate, most of them women, and some of them, from what I gather, I think they sexually abused him as a kid, maybe. And this little kid, instead of going and telling his parents, he did not trust his parents, from what I gather. So this little kid did not trust his parents. He thought that nothing would come about it, that nothing would be resolved, that there would be no justice, and most of all, he thought that his parents would see it as just another, bother, just another trouble that they had to deal with. So the young kid, the young child, chose not to tell his parents that he has been, molested by these servants in the house. And of course, we know that this actually happened to Dazai, and it's just, this is really tremendous. You have to be extremely alienated, even from your own blood, to do something like this. That even as a young kid, he was just, I just don't trust these people. These people don't really care about me. so I'm not gonna tell them anything because, you know, they treat me like I'm some sort of, you know, eyesore, right? So that was a wow, that was a terrible, terrible scene. I mean, he writes here, right? He writes, "Mine has been a life of much shame. I can't even guess myself what it must be to live the life of a human being," right? So Dazai himself was so alienated, so ostracized, so isolated, so sidelined from humanity, from human beings, what it is like to be a human being, that he just could not guess what it is like to be a human being, ergo the title no longer human. And this is something that I really want to address. Like, throughout this book, Daizai writes about how embarrassed and how awkward and how ashamed and how disgraceful he was. And he felt that he was just this eyesore that people just hated and loathed. And, you know, everything about him, inside and out, was just this disgrace that people just hated. And he places the guilt on himself. You know, he says, you know, there's something wrong with me. I am not normal. I am not human. Uh, he is severely alienated. But on the other hand, he understands completely what humanity really is, how visceral and cruel and ruthless and monstrous humanity can be behind, you know, the facade. So he understands this, like, but at the same time, he still, for some reason, he still seeks out, you know, human company, human comfort. He goes to bars, he gets entangled with a lot of women, he keeps on meeting and drinking with this fucking leech, which is Horiki, I think, because I think he still wants to be with people. He doesn't want to be alone, right? And this is the problem that I have. Listen, folks, being human is not a big deal. Okay, it's not this grand fucking template that we should all be. Like, you know, the blueprints to being human and then being human isn't that special. Okay, and I wish there would have been somebody to tell Osamu Dazai this truth, because I would have told them, listen, bro, the fact that you're alienated from society, from people in general, is the greatest thing in the world that you can do. So stop your bitching, stop your whining, and move on with your life, because life is short and nothing really matters. So chill the fuck out, right? And this is not a criticism. I'm not trying to offend anybody, or I'm not trying to, you know, muddy Dazai's name, because, of course, I'm speaking from experience. I can relate to this guy. Half of my life has been spent on insomnia, suicidal thoughts, you know, all of the dark, depressing things that a human can think about. I was there. I was alone, you know, with my dark thoughts. Nobody came to save me. I couldn't save myself until much later. And after coming from that pit of misery and grief and pain and suffering, I have to tell you that you shouldn't be, you shouldn't feel alienated, right? Dazai shouldn't felt alienated. So he wasn't human anymore. Ergo, he didn't have the mindset and the responses that most other people had. And I have to say, so what, right? So what, right? I mean, the problem that I have is that he took this way too seriously. This alienation, this being no longer human. Oh, my suffering, my sleepless nights, my awkwardness, my shame, and it's like, bro, just I would have told him, just move on with your life because these things do not matter. Because I was like that. Because I spent countless sleepless nights just turning in my bed, tussling, wrestling with all of these, thinking that I should better hang myself, and it didn't help me one bit, right? Because then, at the end of the day, I realized all of this is pointless, bro. So stop taking yourself so seriously and start laughing at the world, because not belonging, not being as everybody else, uh, feeling like whatever you do, it will never be enough, and having this feeling of just being so different from everybody else, that you are ostracized and sidelined and alienated. That is the best thing that can happen in your life. Being by yourself, minding your own business, being completely ignored by other people with indifference, so much so that people don't even notice your existence, having nobody whatsoever in this life. I mean, that is paradise, people. That is paradise. And you all need to stop feeling so sorry for yourselves. I mean, I'm telling you this with love, because nobody told me this when I was, suffering, right? And nobody told Dazai. Uh, Having nobody to bother you, having nobody to use and abuse and manipulate you and exploit you, just being so alone that nobody will ever notice that you were here. I mean, that is the best outcome, people. Okay, you need to stop feeling sorry for yourselves. There are so many depressed and suicidal people out there, and I just don't get it. Okay? Because I used to be like you until I realized that I was taking this world and its people and its events way too seriously. And because I was simping for the world, simping to belong, simping to be respected and loved, uh, the world and the people treated me like I was some sort of lapdog, some sort of worm that was laughable. I was the laughing stock. So then I realized I'm not gonna take it seriously anymore. It is a joke of the lowest caliber, and I'm just gonna laugh at it. Okay? And that is when happiness really started for me. Most of my life has been nothing but sadness, loneliness, and disappointment, suffering, and so on. And then I came to the conclusion that this was because I just took it for granted as this special place that life should be cherished, that you should be you should really chase your goals and your dreams and your purposes, and you should get all the great things in life. Listen, even if you achieve all of these things, they are temporary. The high, the happiness is momentary. It will pass by before you can even blink, and it will fade away, and you will be empty again. So I'm indifferent to the world. I'm indifferent to life. I don't care about anything. I don't involve myself in anything. I, I, I avoid people like they are the plague. And it has been a joy, a bliss like you can't even imagine. And I feel so sorry for Osamu Dazai, because he could have really snapped out of this, right? He could have really just snapped out of it. I mean, he takes this so seriously. Oh, I can't even imagine what it's like to be human. So what? So what? Move on, bro. This isn't serious, bro. Right? This isn't serious. What are you talking about? Like, listen, the greatest knowledge, the greatest wisdom, the greatest enlightenment to be had in this world is this: that you should have realized by now that life is worth losing, and that Wasting your life is the greatest thing that you can possibly do. Okay, because this life is a circus. It is a spectacle. It is a rat race. It is a coliseum battle, a competition, and nobody's gonna win in the end. Nobody. We're all gonna be maggot food. Okay, in the dirt. Okay, and listen, I was just like you, and I was a hard worker, really hard worker, and I just really didn't understand, and I hated why some people were lazy, and yet why did they seem so happy? It always bothered me that they were lazy. And then it really, really clicked. Okay, listen, this is important, people. Being lazy, doing nothing, just sitting in bed all day, sleeping all day, doing nothing, caring about nothing. Okay, that is the that is a wonderful thing, and that is how you will attain happiness. Nothing else will give you happiness. Okay, being lazy, wasting your life in bed, is the most profound, tremendous thing that you can do in life. Okay, just take it easy. Okay, because nothing that is here matters. It's all an illusion. It's all, a sideshow, right? It's smoke and mirrors. Okay, we are living in this, what you might call it, this oasis where everything we see is nothing but, mist and fog and those illusions, you know, made by, light refracting or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? That you should not take it so seriously, because this poor man was so stricken with sadness, and he was just eaten alive by the fact that he wasn't human anymore. And he still wanted to belong, even though he understood that human beings, humanity, is a disease, you know, especially collectively, right? When people get into groups, the human being, the spirit, disappears, and the beast comes a knocking. That is what happens when people get together. They become these mindless beasts. They get captured by the hive mind and they become robots. Okay, and that is why I stay away from people in general, because you never know. I mean, you can always expect the worst from people, right? So it's so painful to just read this book and understand what he was going through, because I went through it, and thankfully I came out better than ever, and maybe you're still suffering. And I'm here to tell you, this book should be an example. This book should be read by everybody, and I don't make this recommendation that often. This book, for what it does, has to be read by every single human being on this planet, especially by those people who are still suffering, who are suicidal, who are depressed. Because y'all need to get it in your head, just like Dazai should have gotten in his thick skull, that no matter what happens here, it doesn't matter. It's meaningless. So take it easy. I mean, I used to be so affected by the smallest, most insignificant thing ever. And I would just fume and rage, and I was so volatile, and I had this unchecked anger all the time when I was younger, and I couldn't sleep, bro. I was just destroyed, right, by the injustice, by, you know, all of the negative in this world. And I thought that there was something wrong with me because I was so negative. I thought that I was bizarre and odd because I felt a certain type of way that most people don't feel, which is that life is a big joke, and it should not be taken seriously, right? So I felt that I was abnormal, right? So uh, I think that unlike Dazai here, I decided to step back, to check out from this reality, right? Meaning that I have no stakes here. I have no involvement whatsoever. And I think that is what freed me. All right? That is what freed me because I stopped simping for this world and everything in it, period. And maybe that will help you as well as it has me because listen, I mean, this poor man, you can really just you can feel it. You can feel it. Every line here that I read, I just saw myself. I just saw myself, the mirror, the reflection, my younger self, this dumb kid being so affected, so emotional, so sensitive, right? And it was for nothing. It was for naught, okay? It ate me alive and it then spit me out, and I was a shell of my former self until I concluded that I should take it easy, right? That is the greatest thing that you can do in life. Take it easy. Take it easy. Sit in bed all day and read Osamu Dazai's No Longer Human because this is a prime example of what can happen to a person and what could have happened to me and what could have happened to you when you take what happens, the world, society, people too seriously. You know, you're so invested in life, you're so immersed in this reality. You keep chasing the thrills and the rewards, and even if you attained some of them, when you're by yourself in bed at night, you wonder why you feel so empty inside, why you feel so hollow. This is because no matter what you get, all of these promises will not fulfill you. Okay, I am shocked that so many people, billions of people, even to this day, do not realize that the world is meant to displease and disappoint you by the sign. Okay, the world is here to aggrieve and assault you. It is by design. It is as planned. Okay, it is premeditated because apparently trauma and abuse is what people really want, right? And trauma and abuse is what keeps people uh, still involved in this reality, right? So people want to be abused, people want to be assaulted, people want to be belittled and mocked, right? In order to belong, in order to feel human, in order to feel loved, allegedly by other people, right? And it, listen, you have to detach. I would have told Dazai here, bro, you gotta detach from all of these stupid things that you keep thinking about, right? I mean, I feel for the guy, you know. I don't really feel empathy for a lot of people, but I feel empathy for this guy because I can relate and I see my younger self. And I would have told him because he makes such a big deal about, oh boy, I'm not human anymore. I've lost that special something. I'm not like everybody else. I'm just this chasm, this void, this abyss inside. And I would have told them, so what, big boy? So what, Bubba? Okay, so what? I mean, listen, I have renounced my humanity and I have therefore become this void, this abyss, right? In which I don't feel a lot of things. Okay, I've made a video about anhedonia, uh, the inability to feel satisfaction from anything. I'm almost there. I still have a couple of things that give me pleasure, but I'm almost 100% anhedonia, the inability to feel anything, no matter the stimuli, right? And that is a wonderful thing because I don't feel anything anymore most of the time, and That is so wonderful. I have attained serenity. I have attained a balance. I have attained harmony in this chaos, in this entropy, right? And I see all of the horrible, horrible, horrific, grotesque, atrocious aspects that are here, and I just laugh at them. I just laugh at them. It doesn't bother me anymore like they used to when I was young and I was losing my mind thinking about all of these things, right? So I don't care. So being inhuman, losing your heart, uh, being unable to relate to anything or anyone, feeling nothing, uh, feeling like you're no longer human, okay? That is not a bad thing. And this is what people need to understand because people uh, equate good to how other people are. That is a serious mistake, okay? Just because it is the appearances show that a lot of people are doing just fine, that doesn't mean that that equals happiness. And most of all, that doesn't imply that you should be like them, otherwise there's something wrong with you, right? Never base your standards and principles on the majority, because the majority people throughout history, without a single exception, the majority has always been wrong, period. Right? So you should never look at a majority of people and just say, well, I'm not like them, therefore there's something odd with me. I'm weird. It isn't true. It isn't true at all. And man, I just feel so bad for Dazai. So bad for him. Because, I mean, the way he went out, the way his family treated him, etc., etc. I mean, that could have been me, that could have been you, but some of us, um, you know what it is? This depressive state, I think that a lot of people have to grow out of it. It's just simple as that. And that doesn't mean that I don't have a, um, what you might call it, a negative disposition. Of course, when I look outside my window and I see people, I just, get depressed, for lack of a better word, but it doesn't eat me alive. You see, I'm more of a jaded, blasé, um, type of person. I'm not affected so harshly, right? You know, I see it for what it is. I scoff at it. I shrug my shoulders. I call it what it is, and then I move on. You see, I don't care about it so much anymore, about anything in life, because I see it for what it is, and it can never seduce me anymore. You see, and I think this is the main issue that people suffer from, is that they're still seduced by what this world has to offer, all of its promises that are pipe dreams, and that is why they accept and allow to be, traumatized and abused, and that is why they still allow suffering to enter their life. And the only cure for this depression, for this sadness, for these suicidal thoughts is to detach. It is to be indifferent. And you'll see, it will be hard in the beginning, but you'll see in the end that this is the only cure available. No Longer Human is an amazing book for what it does, for what it presents. Uh, Osamu is an archetype of what can happen to a person if you just let this negativity possess you like a demon. You see, you always feel bad. You always feel ashamed. You always look down on yourself. You always belittle yourself. You will always assume that you are the worst of the worst, that there's something wrong with you, that you do not deserve love, that you do not deserve happiness, that you will never attain anything, that your goals are lame, that you are incapable and impotent to achieve anything. This is what depression, this is what negativity does to people. And I was there, and this book is a beautiful example. Okay? You should read this cover from cover, and you should really think about what you're really doing here, because a lot of people won't like this, but you are the reason why you are suffering. Okay? Dazai was to blame for what happened to him in the end, because he just allowed this negativity to snowball, 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 and then he ended up in a river, unfortunately. Right? So don't let this negativity snowball, because it will end you. Okay? It will end you, and you will be an empty shell of a person. Again, I have to repeat this. I can't even guess myself what it must be to live the life of a human being, ergo, to have friends, to go on trips with them, to have a job, to, feel all of the joy that comes with interacting and mingling with people. And I just say, who cares, bro? This is what I mean, okay? Maybe I'm not expressing myself properly, but this is what I mean. Is like, I can't even guess myself what it must be like to live the life of a human being. And I'm like, who wants to live the life of a human being? I certainly don't. I certainly don't. I don't want to belong. I don't want to be whole. And I certainly don't want to interact with people. And I don't really give a shit what it's like to live the life of a human being. Listen, human beings aren't that interesting, intricate type of creature. Okay? Settle down. Okay? This is, this is that phenomenon, you know, whose symptom is, the fear of missing out. And let me tell you, buddy, you're not missing out on nothing over here. Like, I have a bit of experience in life. Uh, you're not missing that much, okay? And even if you're missing out on something, it still means nothing. Get over it. Because when I was younger and I was missing out on stuff, wow, boy, I whipped myself like a horse. And in the end, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? What a wonderful book this is. And to all you sad, lonely people out there, I will tell you this. You should not feel that way. Actually, you should not feel any type of way. And maybe you should feel just joy, and maybe you should embrace the laughter. Okay, because all of this does not deserve your attention. This world, whatever you want to call it, this circus, right, it does not deserve your attention. Stop simping for this world. Stop simping for people. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, because one way or another, we will all go away, and there will be nothing left, right? Everything passes. Think about all of the purely atrocious, horrible things that happen in history. People just bounced back like it was nothing, and they pushed it aside, and they moved on. And once in a while, they uh, plant a tree or a bouquet of flowers or something, right? So people move on. You see, everything passes in this world, no matter its relevance, no matter what happens. Read this book and understand that you're glancing in a mirror. Okay, this book is about you. This book is about me. This book is about all the Osamu Dazais of the world that are currently just in a pit of despair and shame and disappointment, and who maybe nurture harmful thoughts about themselves, right? Because you can really grow to such an extent that you might harm yourself because you are just disgusted by yourself for whatever reason, right? So take this book as an example of how you should not be, because I was there and I just saw myself, and I just, listen, bro, if my younger self were to appear now, I would beat his ass into the ground because I was so shameful, so lame, because I took it so seriously. And the worst thing of all, the most disgusting thing, is that I felt so sorry for myself while while being repulsed by myself. So, there was this duality, right? It wasn't worth it, right? It's just not worth it. Okay, settle down. You know what the problem is? That a lot of us, if not most of us, we didn't have that role model, that Uncle Dave. That's what I call it. I didn't have that Uncle Dave to just, take me to a side and give me a beer and tell me how it is. I just didn't have that person in my life, and to give me that knowledge, and that is why I suffered a lot, because I didn't know better, right? I didn't know better. Maybe you didn't know better, and that is why you're in this position right now. And I'm not trying to demean or belittle what you're going through, your depression and such. I'm not trying to belittle you or demean you, but let me tell you, if you do not do anything, this will only spiral out of control, because it spiraled out of control when I was in your shoes, and let me tell you, it wasn't pretty at all. I mean, I spent half of my life just wanting to kill myself. Okay, so and I was a chronic insomniac, and then I became a fucking chronic alcoholic. Let me tell you, it wasn't a pageant parade, right? But I bounced back because I realized that no matter what hardship or obstacle or setback is thrown your way, that you shouldn't even attempt to, tackle it. You see, you don't have to wrestle with these things. You just need to move aside and not get yourself involved. Right? Be indifferent. Because if you are indifferent, you cannot suffer. You cannot be hurt anymore. Right? So, this is what I had an issue with while reading this book. I don't understand why Dazai was just so visceral about feeling sorry for the fact that he was no longer human, that, he hated, he loathed himself, he was sickened by himself, and he loathed other people, of course, but he was just so entangled in this, like, labyrinth of, just, feeling sorry for yourself, right? Oh, if only this, if only that, if only I could do this, if only I was born, richer, handsomer, taller, more beautiful, whatever, right? All of this needs to be dropped immediately, right? Right? Most people, most people want to be in the sun. They want to be in the light. They want to be graced by, you know, by the light above. They want to be the center of attention, right? And I tell you that you should be the opposite. You should head for the shadow. You should be immersed in the shadow. You should be in the darkness by yourself. Because that is the home where you will see things for what they really are. By yourself, in the darkness, silence, thinking about it. Because listen, you've noticed most people, they can't stand being by themselves. They are allergic to solitude and silence. You know why? Because this is my theory. If most people were left by themselves in the darkness, in quiet serenity with their own thoughts, most people would go insane, because they can't handle, the darker side of things. That is what I believe. That is why so many people are just these extroverts that just, you know, that just run around and frolic. They want to be surrounded by people. They want to do things. They want to have hobbies, and they want to, you know, engage with groups of people. I've rambled enough, and you have suffered enough, and it's so easy to get rid and dismiss, the suffering that has possessed you for so long, like some sort of demon. Okay, which what is the answer? The answer that I would have happily given Dazai was just take it easy, bro. Just relax. It ain't no biggie. Okay, it ain't no biggie. It's nothing serious. Stop being so involved, right? Stop being so involved, right? Because when I was just like Dazai, so involved in oh boy, I'm no longer human. I'm always so sad. I just could not sleep. I was torn by the thoughts. I didn't sleep for years. When I slept during the day. I just couldn't sleep at night because I was just destroyed by those bad thoughts. But after, and this is the best advice that I can give, when I stopped caring, that is the moment when I started sleeping like a baby with a smile on my face, because I understand all this spectacle here, this circus. It does not deserve your time. It does not deserve your energy. Stop simping for it. Move on, all right? And just enjoy whatever time you have left, right? That's it. So, in conclusion, this is I wanted more from this book. I wanted more from Dazai, but he makes his points clearly. I appreciate them. I love that this book is a prime example of what can happen to you if you feel so sorry for yourself that you blame yourself for for anything, right? And I don't make this recommendation that often because there are a few books that can really just sink its claws into your heart, but this is one of them. So I do recommend No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. Everybody should read this book. And most of all, happy people who think that they have achieved something, people who are optimistic, people who see the glass half full, people who just wake up every day and they are they have butterflies of joy, and they cannot wait to go outside, and they cannot wait to go to their jobs, and they cannot wait to meet other people. I recommend this book mostly to these people because these people are asleep. They are asleep, and they do not know that they live in a nightmare. Okay? They are sleepwalkers, and this book, if they read it, might be a waking call. Might be just the right kind of medicine to slap them out of their trance, right? Out of the hypnosis that this place, this world, this life is a wonderful thing. It isn't, right? And of course, this video and this book is dedicated to all the people who are struggling, just like poor Osamu Dazai struggled. Okay, read this book and reconsider what your stakes are. Okay, there's nothing here for you to risk. There's nothing here for you to, you know, spend so much time and effort and energy on. Okay, there's nothing here. If you wanna do something, which you shouldn't, but if you want to do something in this life, the best choice is to read this book, okay? So thanks for watching. If you didn't know, I'm a writer myself. I got a few books on Amazon. The link will be down below. If you want to support your boy, right, head on out to Amazon and, buy one of these books and read them. Thanks for watching. See ya.